What's up guys, Scope Club back again, here to bring you another video. Today it's going to be my favourite deck profile, the mermail deck profile. This is the Knightmare spam sekka build. It's orientated more towards going first and extra linking your opponent. However, this is able to go second and basically pick apart your opponent's board with the Knightmare engine. So yeah, let's go straight on with it. So to start off, we have 3 Neptibus, yep, standard. Send your Dragoons being at 3 makes this card even more broken now. So yeah, this is a definite 3. Don't put this at 1 or 2. The fact that this is a key combo, piece in extra linking your opponent, considering it can spam out 2-3 monsters without even trying. Next, we have 3 Dragoons. Also standard. Now that this is a 3, you play it at 3. This is your searcher that is not once per turn and is absolutely amazing. I mean, the first effect to allow level 3 or lower Atlantes to attack directly is not really used. However, in a couple of builds, if you bricked or you need a few cards with this and Marksman, you can do it. It's just it's not likely to come up, and I wouldn't plan on using it. I would much rather, you're going to want to discard this off a Megalo or Choose or anything like that. Next, the 2 heavy infantries and the 1 marksman. This is the standard engine for the Atlanteans. You want to run 2 heavy infantry because face-up cards are much more common now compared to set ones. So, as opposed to the previous format, you only want to run 1 marksman now because obviously your opponent can respond to the set card being targeted, and considering Sky Striker is a thing and Trickstar is a thing, they're most likely just gonna activate the card you target anyway. So you're probably gonna want to use this to off a face-up card like a Kagari or a Shizuku and just go through a board, or try and bait out a Lycris, anything like that. So that's the Atlantean engine. You don't really want to run any others. The rest are pretty subpar. Next onto the mermail engine, we have 3 mermail abyss juice. This one's pretty standard. It's you drop 1 water monster, so you drop a Dragoon or a Neptibus, and you can special summon it and search for a level 4 or lower mermail. So with this, it's a +2 off of Dragoons, as you can summon it and then get a double search. Next, the 1 gunned. You only really want to run 1, but you can run 2, but considering the severe lack of space in here, you only really want to run 1 because considering the way mermails are kind of going at the minute, it's you make your board turn 1, and if they break through the board, you're probably lost anyway, so you're not likely to need a second. Then 3 Megalo. I've seen some people running 2. I don't know why you want to run 2, but considering the way this build is orientated, you need 3 because you need to both always have at least 1 in hand, and considering we're running Tomahawk in this, you want to be able to max out the amount of times you can get a level 7 on board. So yeah, 3 Megalo. 1 pike, pretty standard. If you bricked, it can get something going. It can get you a search if you drop a Dragoon, or pop a card if you drop a heavy infantry. You only really want to run 1. You don't want to run 2, or you definitely don't want to run something like Turge in place of this. So yeah, that's the mermails. Onto the next engine, we've got the swap engine of simply 3 frog and 1 Ronin. Nowadays, because of the way the swap engine is used in mermails, which is simply to either link away a board, it's a link away into Knightmares, or if you bricked, go into a Toad, you're never going to need, you don't really need dupe anymore. You're always just going to go swap, send a Ronin, bounce, summon again, send a swap, then summon, go into a Toad or go into a Link, and then do your regular plays, and then you've got one more swap in deck if you need to use Toad. So you don't really need anything else for that. Dupe isn't really a necessity anymore. Next, we have the new engine popping up, the Undyne engine of the GLX engine of 3 Undyne and 1 controller. This card is only just seeing the light of day now. However, it's a very good engine from what I've been testing. It's like Neptibus in the sense that it can trigger the effects. However, this one has more utility because it can search a controller, which you can then summon off of a Link Spider and get more Link players going. And unlike Neptibus, this can send any water, so you can send an Angler, a Dragoon, a Neptibus, a Swap, anything you really need in Grave, and they will always trigger. So this is very, very good. There's even, I've been testing around with this, and there are some 1-card combos with this, which I'll probably show at the end of the video. So yeah, 3 Undyne and 1 controller. Disclaimer though, there is a Rosnex in this engine. However, I've held it off until the end of the video to show it. Next, we've got the Nimble engine of 3 Angler. Which is pretty standard. You want to always open it to drop off like a Swap or a Megalo and get a load of Link plays going with this. Then 1 Beaver, 1 Sunfish. Originally, before we had the reason you're running 1 Beaver, 1 Sunfish now is because of Saryuja Skulldread. You wanna, this opening Angler and Swap is usually a combo into Saryuja. And because of that, you don't really want to run 2 Beaver. You were originally, before we had Saryuja, you'd be running like 3 Angler and 3 Beaver. However, because of the Sekka build and the fact that this is Knightmare orientated, in which you have to have 2 different monsters, I've decided to simply run 1 Sunfish and 1 Beaver. You could run 2 of one of these 2, however, all you're really doing there is upping up a number in the deck and increasing the chance of opening one of these, which isn't really needed. The only one you want to always see is this guy. So that's that. Then onto the one of waters, we have 1 Deep Sea Diva, standard. If this was at 3, you'd be running it at 3, but sadly it's not, and I don't think it's ever coming back. The 1 Rosnex, the 1 Moulin Glacier. This is pretty standard. You don't really need any other one-off water monsters outside of this. Then onto the non-waters, we have 1 Ibly, which is standard for the Knightmare engine, 1 Veiler, and 1 Cherries. The reason you want to run Cherries is because if you're made to go second, because if you lose the dice roll and your opponent wants to go first, and if they open and they haven't absolutely killed your board, killed any possibility of you making a board, you usually want to activate this, either call if you're going in blind, you call Mermaid, and if they don't have it, you go an extra link, and if they do have it, now you can extra link, and they can't get rid of the Ibly. And if you know what they're playing, you're going to call something that they know. Although that's not really going to work in this, considering all of the cards in here are actually needed for combos. None of them are really cherry targets unless you count the firewall. So it's essentially knowing what your opponent's playing and calling a target in your deck based on what they've got. But cherries is more just used for the Mermaid. Veiler to stop a play, like you might stop a Candina search or something like that, but it's not really going to come up. I was running Ash and Drolls in this as a way of just outright stopping my opponent going, but I stopped using them and I've side-decked them because there's a going first build and you don't really want to be opening hand traps if you're going first. And I'll probably side them in game 2 and 3 when my opponent knows what I'm playing. So yeah, that's the monsters. And then on to the spells. There's really not that many considering it's a sekka build. All I'm running in the spell section is 3 seconds light, which is standard for the sekka build. For those of you who don't know, this is basically a pot of greed, or a pot of greed 2.0. Considering this card lets you draw 2 for free in exchange for no more spells this turn, which, considering mermails were never really using their spells, weren't that dependent on their spells to begin with, is okay to cut in exchange for a +2. And it has the effect of banish itself to shuffle in a monster and draw 1. So if you've opened something like a controller or one of your cards that you need in deck, you can just outright shuffle it back in for a free draw. And then the last 3 spells are free called by the grave. The reason why I chose to main deck this instead of side decking it is because this deck outright loses to draw, and you don't want to be losing to draw. You want to be outright just making a board that your opponent cannot stop. So considering we lose to cards like Ash and Droll, you want to be maining these. And it does work. If you activate one of these, you're not likely to be able to get this off. However, there have been instances in which I've gone and activated sekka, they've tried to ash it, and because this hasn't fully resolved, I've been able to chain a called by to outright to just stop them, and then still get the +2. So that's it for the spells. Then onto the extra deck. For the Xyz, you only really want to run 2. That's Galaxy Tomahawk and Totally Awesome. Tomahawk to get the token plays, to get Firewall, and then Toad for if you bricked and you need to make something sort of a negate, or you've opened the nuts, extra linked, and still have the frog engine available. However, in this build, I haven't once had the frog engine still usable in testing. Then for the links, we have Link Spider, which is standard since you're running Rosniks. 1 Mistar Boy for the Knightmare engine. 2 Cerebus. 1 Mermaid. 1 Phoenix. 1 Goblin. 1 Unicorn and 1 Griffin. Then for the rest of the miscellaneous links, we've got Saryuja, Trigate Wizard, Firewall, and then my spicy tech, Curious, the Lightsworn Dominion. For those wondering why I'm running Curious, it's because you can actually make this fairly easily, considering you're running multiple waters and you're running multiple types, which are Sea Serpent, Bish, Aqua, and Beast in the form of Beaver. So you can make the, as I said, Undyne is a 1-card combo, and Undyne is a 1-card combo into Curious. And this can actually help you unbrick your hands. Like if you've not opened Great, and you need something engraved like a Toad or a Rosniks to get combos going into Goblin, you make this and then send a card. And the mill free, while it obviously has the effect of mill free, which is mandatory, which does seem like it would hurt the deck, it's actually very useful, because in my testing when I was running Ash and hand traps, I was usually milling a hand trap, and then later on, right before I'd end my turn, I'd go Firewall, add back one of the traps or something. Or as a Carl White, the recent top 16 mermail player for UK Nats, suggested to me, you can send Imperial Order off of this, or anti-spell, then make a Griffin, discarding a card and targeting the Imperial Order, or the anti-spell, and then setting it, and then flipping it on your opponent's board next turn. So yeah, shout out to Carl White for giving me that idea. Appreciated. I'm not running Borrowload in this, partly because I can't find the space for it, and mostly because I just don't have one. I sold them off a while back. But I can't really, even then I can't really find the space for it outside of maybe dropping Cerebus or dropping Rosniks and Link Spider. I mean, most would probably tell me to just drop this, but it's actually very, very good. Like, you can run Decode Talker instead, or a Borrowload over this, but it gives you a lot of utility, especially if what you want to do is drop like a game 2, make this drop a hand trap of your choice and then add it back with Firewall game at the end of your turn. Or if you wanted to change the build up, something a friend of mine suggested was running 3 angler or dropping angler to 2 and then running 2 beaver, 2 sunfish. And then off of this, after you go normal Undyne, send the first angler, summon the first 2 beaver and sunfish, go into this, send another angler, and then summon the 2 again, summon another sunfish and beaver, to then make goblin and go off with your plays again. So yeah, that's it for the deck itself. And I'll show you the combo for Undyne. It's pretty straightforward. It's just normal Undyne, send a water, and in this case we'll send an angler. Where are the angler? Send an angler to then add a controller. Angler then triggers, giving you a sunfish and a beaver. You then link these 3 into Curious. And then you basically just go off with your plays, and then, like I said, you'll mill 3 and make Firewall, and then do something with that. Like one of the things I've seen you can do is you can go, if you want to go straight into Firewall, you can go Curious, send Rosnix, mill 3, Rosnix get a token, and then go straight into Firewall with this, and then just carry on your combos as normal. So yeah, that has been my mermail sekka build. That's running about 4 engines. Let me know what you guys want to see next. I hope you enjoyed the video. Leave a like if you enjoyed. If you have any thoughts on the deck, feel free to leave a comment in the description, or even leave a comment in the description on what you want to see. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you next time. Scrub Club out.